Is it possible for finance to serve the economy?
Well, yes, of course, because basically that's the role of finance to, enable the economy to go round in a good sense. That's basically what finance is about, even though what we have seen in the recent years is that it does not always do so. But I think it's a bit like it depends on what finance actually finances. Like if you finance the real economy, then obviously it creates value for citizens, consumers, employees, etc., etc. It creates jobs. It creates a better life for consumers, etc. But then, if finance actually invests in the unreal economy, like finance for finance, making profit out of just financial products exchanged between financial organizations without any connection to the real world, then obviously it does not create value except for the financial community, and then there's an issue as we've seen. And I think we see today like good examples of financial institutions committed to finance the real economy, real value for real people. Like for example, you have the Triodos Bank in the Netherlands, in the UK, is a bank that is committed to only finance real economy, and especially I would say real sustainable economy. Like they only would invest and give loans, etc., to people involved in organic agriculture or switching to organic agriculture, green building, green energy, social housing, etc., etc., etc. And they would publish, what Triodos does is they publish each year for their client the detailed list of all the projects that they have financed throughout the year, which obviously they do, but no other bank, to my knowledge, in the world does. And, and this connection, and it's interesting to see that in the first, I think, 2.5 years of the financial crisis, Triodos was very much saying, like, we don't, we're not in this crisis because we're not in the unreal or surreal economy that the crisis is about. We're in the real economy, and we have no crisis. They kept growing their business, etc., etc. So I think it's a good, positive sign for financial institutions worldwide. But the good sign is, and the lessons from Triodos is that the financial institutions will have to be more transparent about what they actually finance and what are the impacts of what they finance. Like, for example, if you take the subprime, the issue with subprimes was that banks were actually giving loans to people who had already too many debts. So they shouldn't have, in terms of social responsibility, they shouldn't have given those loans to these people. And they knew it. But what they did is they said, oh, we're going to give them the loans. And you know what? The price of real estate are going up anyway. So what we're going to do, if our clients have problems to reimburse the loans, then what we'll do is we'll take their homes and we'll sell the homes, and we get our money back, and even more than that. So this was not responsible. And what happened next was that other banks worldwide bought those subprimes without even knowing their connection with the real economy, real life. And obviously, if they had known, then they would have seen that this was a potential bomb, social bomb, I would say. And they wouldn't have bought that. So I think really transparency and traceability, almost like the mad cow disease, traceability of where the money goes, what are the impacts of the projects that are financed, etc., is really key for finance to contribute to build a better world.
Can the common good serve the human person?
Well, I think it should, obviously, in the sense that if it's not increasing well-being for individuals, then it's not common good. It's just like a kind of illusion of common good or short-term common good, without seeing the negative impacts and the negative externalities of what you do to produce a short-term common good. Then if you have poorer well-being in the long term, then it's not common good. So I think, but it's really a matter of integrating mid and long-term considerations from the start in the design of the system, in the business model of corporations, in their approach to R&D, innovation, etc., etc. Because if you don't do that, then obviously you're gonna, and in the approach of governments too, because if they like design new regulations, for example, to ensure common good in the short term, then it might very well end up with something that's not really good. And today we have an issue, which is that we ignore the negative externalities of so many things that we do, especially, for example, to link it with well-being, the health externalities of agriculture, like spreading pesticides in the soil, in the products that we eat, obviously has an impact on our health. Spreading pesticides in the environment has an impact on our health also because it's in the air, in the water we drink, in the air we breathe, etc. So it gets back to us afterwards. And obviously this has an impact, and it's not taken into consideration in the system so far, because the price, which is supposed to give information on the cost of a product, does not reflect these externalities. And we have the same for buildings today. You have the issue of indoor air quality, for example, which is in average 5 to 10 times more polluted than the outdoor air, simply because in homes, hotels, and where we spend 90% of our times, offices, schools, you have chemical products in almost everything. Like you would have chemicals in the paintings on the wall, in the paint used for the walls. You have in the flooring, whatever flooring it is. If it's wood, you can have glue in it. You can have other components. You can have products in textile, like whether it's a sofa, for example, or a carpet. Then it usually contains chemicals to prevent them from bursting into fire, for example. And most of the time they don't burst into fire. And those products in the textiles, they go in the air and mix with other, like the molecules from detergents, molecules from paintings, etc., etc. And we breathe that air, and it has a tremendous impact on health. Like I think China has just released a study where they show that they have 2 million dead people each year because of indoor air pollution, and half of them are children under 5, because of course children are more vulnerable and they spend more time inside too. So these health impacts today, and in countries like France, where you have a very strong public health system, this has a cost. It really has a cost. For the citizens, for the state, etc. But this cost is never taken into consideration. So obviously you have common good in the short term, like you feed people with agriculture, you give them homes and beautiful indoor, decoration, interiors, home interiors, etc. But then it's not common good in the long run.